Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your host, Candy Washington, and I cannot wait for you to help you live a more joyful life. Now, before we dive into today's episode of Sugar Pills: A Practical Guide to Self-Care, don't forget that if you need additional support, we always have our courses down below. We have our Art of Self-Love Masterclass. We also have our More Than Enough self-worth class, and we also have the Create Your Dream Life class as well. And then you can get all of those courses in one bundle, our self-love and lifestyle design course as well. Also be sure to pick up our journal, the self-love journal right here, you guys. Go ahead and pick that up. It's a great companion, but of course, if you get the courses, you automatically get a free copy as well. And you can book some one-on-one coaching with me if you need some extra support. Join our newsletter. It is completely free. So now that we have all of those resources for you out of the way, I would love to introduce my beautiful guest today, Salome Sallehy, and she is a change maker in the beauty industry. She founded Sugar Sugar Wax, a sustainable and holistic hair removal and body care company in 2020. She's determined to raise health and sustainability standards in the beauty and personal care industry. Salome has quickly become recognized for her innovation and sustainable business practices. So, welcome, Salome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Candy. I really love the content that you create, and
Yeah.
with such an ethos of empowerment and celebrating womanhood. So it's an honor to be on the show.
Absolutely. Do you want to share with us a little bit more about you and your start and how you got here?
Yeah, normally when I'm asked this question, I always kind of go to, my career and the beginning of my professional life.
Mhm.
But I think, for the purposes of your audience, I think it makes sense to kind of take it back like a couple of steps further.
Yeah.
So I would like to start my story when I was 11 years old and I was in swim class. And being of Middle Eastern heritage and hella hairy, I didn't really like think about, self-care or grooming in the same terms because when you're a kid, you're just a kid until
Mm-hmm.
other people started noticing the hair and, pointing it out on my legs. And during swim class, it started kind of there. And, like you kind of, I think we all go through life recognizing that like some of the things that about us might be different from others. And
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that that's my thing, and I really didn't like the hair. And I want to point that out because I think that like we're now in a time where you can love the hair and embrace it,
Yeah.
and we're a lot more as a society, even with Instagram culture, we're a little bit more accepting of that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really cool. But like, at the time I didn't love it. And
Mm-hmm.
everything I tried was really like kind of sucked. Like I
Yeah.
hated shaving. I'd cut myself and bleed all over the bathtub like all the time.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then around the ankles, around the knees.
Yeah.
And then waxing was like a production and
Mm-hmm.
expensive or messy at the very least. If nothing, it was messy.
Uh-huh.
So, and then I'd like drop one little drop of wax on the bathroom floor and I'd be scrubbing it with mineral oil for like 15 minutes. It was just not
Ooh.
great. And not to mention, burns and then like, not being able to go out in the sun and like all kinds of stuff that came with it. And I guess like battled that my whole life. I tried threading, I've tried laser, I've tried it all. I've tried the creams, I've tried that sandpaper stuff, I've tried it
Yeah.
all. And then one day I was in Australia, we were traveling, and at this point,
Oh.
like, I have like a full-fledged career. I'm a business executive, and then I need to do some grooming. So I go in
Mm-hmm.
and I have my first sugar wax experience. And sometimes these little things become like a life-changing experience because you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, that didn't hurt. My skin's not having a reaction to it. It didn't burn.
Mhm.
It's like, what? Like, where has this been my whole life? And that kind of like started my journey into wanting to understand sugar wax a little bit more,
Yeah.
and then really developing a formula that anyone can use. And that was 2 years in the making. And then to get to the fun part of my story,
No,
uh,
this is fun. I always take notes when when I'm having a conversation with someone, because like certain things come up for me, so I take the notes down. So I'm gonna get to it. But no, this
I
is really
love
good,
it.
and we're gonna
And
tie it
feel
into
free to
self
stop
love
me
and
at
self
any
care.
time.
Oh yeah, this is my flow. We're good. We're good. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I was
Or
like, oh my
actually, I
God.
will. I will, but I was gonna let you keep going because I like the whole story to come back. But I'll take out some of the pieces of your story that really stuck out to me, particularly when it comes to self love and self care. So when you were talking about, being 11 and then seeing that, oh, wait a minute, my body looks different than other people's body, and that didn't feel good. I think that really goes to our core sense of wanting to belong and not to feel like you're different and not to feel like you're othered. I know I had a very similar situation when I was growing up. I forgot what I was wearing and I did like this. And, one of the really cute guys was like, oh, Candy has a happy trail. And I was like, oh my God, what's a happy trail? It's like puberty hitting and like all of that stuff. And I was like completely freaking out. But it's that sense of just, you want to belong. You don't want to feel different. You don't want to feel like you're an outcast. You don't want to feel like you don't have a safe space. You don't want to be picked on. You don't want to feel like you don't. It's just that core sense that we all just want to feel like we belong. And I think, what we look like in our society really sometimes can either hinder or help that feeling of belonging, like if you look different, if your hair is different, if your body is different, all of that stuff. So I think that really got into a sense of knowing that you want it to belong. And then I also glean from that, it's like, what do we do to ourselves? What do we sacrifice? And what do we endure in order to belong? When you're talking about, I was bleeding and I was waxing and I was
Yeah.
threading and I was doing all of this stuff, which is so true. There's a lot of people who will like chemically straighten their hair and it's like falling out and it smells crazy and they're burning their scalp because they want to belong. They want to look a certain way. Or think about people's body types. They will do extreme diets, not eat, under eat, get surgery, do all this stuff. At the core, what's really driving it is, I just want to know that I belong, that I'm like everybody else, that I'm not different, that I'm not othered. And also, like you said, which I really loved, now we are having a more society that is more around like body positivity and inclusivity. And it's not even so much that I think it's now hair or different body types are accepted. I think it's more represented. So now it's like, oh, wait a minute, I see somebody that I can belong to. We belong together. Like, we're some hairy sisters, we're some curvaceous girls, we're some freckled or whatever it is. Oh, like, I see myself in you. Now I know, now I have a tribe. Now I have people that I know I belong to. And I think that's so powerful. And then you said, even in adulthood, you're like this fabulous boss babe entrepreneur. And it's just like everything, those childhood experiences, those childhood wounds, those childhood traumas, those little moments. I don't care how successful, how beautiful, how whatever we are, we get triggered by those moments. We all do. If you're a human being, it's the truth.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos has $1 billion, and I bet you he still gets triggered by stuff that happened to him when he was
Oh,
10.
I think
So
I've seen clips of it actually.
ex- Elon Musk, I mean, hello. So money doesn't buy you healing. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. It's so
Uh,
true. And you know what? I love the way you put it. A couple of
yeah.
things that you said really struck a chord with me. First of all, that feeling of needing to belong is a core feeling. It's
Mhm.
literally from our like survival limbic brain, that needing to
100%.
belong and fit in. And then the other thing I didn't really think about until you framed it the way you did was, you're right. It is about representation, because
Hmm.
I think there's the life that you live, and then what you see or think is out there in the world that you want to belong to.
Mhm.
And when you see yourself represented, like one moment for me was when
Yeah.
Huda Beauty, Huda Katan.
Yes.
So this was right before I actually launched Sugar Sugar.
Mhm.
Was She published an article on her blog about shaving her face. And I was like, thank you. Thank
Yep.
you for like just coming out and saying that. And like, I know on Instagram we could get really wrapped up in what we see and think everyone is a dolphin, but that's not reality.
No.
And
It's really not.
everyone's got hair.
Yeah.
But like just seeing that representation out there in the media, and it is so empowering and it's so
Mhm.
important. And I think I get it now. Like my
Mhm.
husband and I were watching a show, and it was kind of like a remake of something. I'm not going to mention it, but
Gotcha.
all of a sudden the cast from the original was like totally different in that like they were all different colors of people, and which is cool, but
Yeah.
then the corresponding children didn't match the parents.
Mhm.
Um, and he's like, "Ah, like that's so annoying, right? Like, why can't they just have like some consistency in the story?"
Mhm.
And I was like, "But what's really cool about it, sure, it doesn't make sense logically,
Yeah.
but like what's cool about it is that a little girl who is this color or that color can watch the show and be like, "Oh, like the queen is the same color as me," or like,
Mhm.
looks the same as me, so I feel represented.
Yep.
And it is empowering.
100%. It's so empowering because it also shows you not only that you belong, but it also shows you like what can be for you. It gives you something to aspire to
Yeah.
envision toward. If you never see, the cover of a magazine of a model that looks like you, if you never see a lawyer that looks like you, or a doctor that looks like you, or, whatever it is, then you don't know that you can be that too. That
Yeah.
is also accessible to you. And that's another big reason why representation is so important, because if you only see people looking like you represented a certain way, they're always a thug, or I don't know, a convenience store owner, or a taxi driver, or a drug dealer, or a baby mama, or whatever those stereotypes are, then how do the little ones know that they can be something different?
Yes.
So it's really important. And then I also love that you said that your sugar wax solution and formula is something that anyone can use, because I also know for me, like, I have more melanin in my skin, so when I would go for like a wax or something, I would always be like, is this gonna scar me? Is this not gonna be for my skin? Is my coarse hair not gonna work for everything? So do you want to talk a little bit about that, about your formula that is being something that
Yeah.
everyone can use?
Oh my gosh, this is like my favorite thing to talk about these
Yeah.
days because it's so like I kind of left this big career to start this company because I really believe that there was power in giving people a tool
Mhm.
that doesn't come with a whole bunch of production, right? You can
Mm.
just remove hair anywhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it is really for everybody. And what I mean by that is sugaring is one of those things that estheticians get an additional 40 hours of training in order to be able to use the sugar wax. So
Mhm.
for me, I'm like, okay, I love that it can be applied by hand and you don't need strips and spatulas, but like I need something that any like I want it to be even easier. So
Mhm.
when we were working, we were like, we need a product that when you hold it, you don't have to do this to keep it in a ball. Like you could just
Mhm.
hold it. Something that I'm really proud of is like
Yeah.
a 10-year-old, and we've even had 9-year-olds, like their moms write us and say, like, my 9-year-old knows how to use this and it doesn't work for her. So that's really cool. But yeah, so what kind of makes the product different and what we wanted to do was make something because I have really sensitive skin. And that's one
Mhm.
of the reasons why I struggled with all the conventional methods of hair removal. Like I've had eczema growing up. I still have like skin barrier issues.
Mhm.
So like for me, nothing was really ideal. And then when we made the sugar wax, we wanted to make it in a way that it actually doesn't bind to live skin cells. It
Okay.
only binds to dead skin and hair. So you can use it on really sensitive skin. You
Yeah.
can use it if you have like psoriasis or eczema or, PCOS. You can use it on coarse hair and fine hair. You don't need to wait for the hair to grow out like you do with waxing. Like
Mm-hmm.
you see like a little bit that you can get some leverage on, you can totally sugar it. And like you can't mess up and you can't hurt yourself because it doesn't stick to the live skin. Like worst thing that's going to happen is like you're going to apply it wrong and you're not going to get the hair. But like you'll apply it once you do the triple pull technique and get the hair, even if you go over the same area, even if it's your bikini,
Ooh,
over it
so
like 10
sensitive.
times, like you're not going to stress that skin.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. Like, and a lot of people with hair do have more melanin in our skin. We have
Hmm.
like olive and, all the shades after that.
Yep.
Hair is more visible and maybe even more abundant in some of us. Um, so, like what I'm really proud of is you could use it on really fine fuzz and you can use it on the coarsest hair. We actually won AskMen.com's best body hair remover.
Oh, congratulations.
So we know it works on really coarse hair on men. So yeah, so it's about like, inclusivity, but also
Mm-hmm.
like not imposing that idea that you have to be smooth, whether you're a guy or a girl, it doesn't matter. But like, we're not setting the beauty standards for anyone. And I think that's what beauty brands need to start striving towards as well,
Mm-hmm.
where it's a tool of empowerment. So you can
Yeah.
define beauty by your own rules. Like, you want to rock the pit hair, do it. I love it.
Yeah.
Do it, I love this time that we're in,
Me
that
too.
it's like it's all coming together. Everyone has a place in this world.
I love that. Yeah, when I was writing down, because it was my little notes. I love that you're not trying to define the beauty standard, which I think a lot of beauty, skincare, personal brands do. They're like, this is our ideal person, this is our ideal model, and everybody needs to fall in line and look like this. You're like, no, we're not defining the beauty standard. We're not saying you have to look like anything. We're just saying, hey, if you have a problem, which is unwanted hair in any area or any amount, then we have a solution. And this is our tool for you. So we're just providing a solution to your problem that is accessible to anyone and all people. And it's just easy and to use. And I think that is so fabulous because then it speaks to the person who does want to be smooth like a dolphin, or maybe it's the person who just wants a little bit of hair here, but not so much hair here, or that 11-year-old girl who is feeling not included in swim class, or me when I was just like, oh, you have a happy trail, and I was like, oh my god, I don't even know what that is at this age, but I want it gone. Stuff like that even they can have something. So it's not something, it's not, you're not offering something that says, in order to be beautiful, in order to belong, in order to be lovable, you have to be this way. It's, you're beautiful, you belong, and you're lovable. And here's something to like enjoy while you
Yeah,
define and express your beauty and lovability.
totally.
Yeah.
And hair removal is like always like such a chore and it's always such a pain. And like, I really wanted it to be like, how can we make it more like fun? Or if not
Mhm.
fun, at least like make it feel like self-care, right?
100%.
So, like, one of the things with the application of the sugar is
Mhm.
like you kind of, it's like slow hair removal, like in that
Okay.
you have to apply it by hand and you're kind of like going over it slowly and you do it a few times. And honestly, like it's kind of like a meditative practice.
Mm.
And you're just like focusing on like one body part. And when you remove the sugar, it's like smooth and silky, and you're just kind of unveiling your like glowy skin.
I
And
cannot wait to try this.
yeah,
Like, I'm, like, so excited. I'm like, I already know what I'm gonna do. I was like, "I'm gonna light some candles,
yeah,
get my favorite drink going."
that's
It's
how
gonna
to
be a
do it.
vibe. It's going to be a vibe.
It need, but why not? Like,
Why not?
I mean, it is a self-care practice because you're kind of doing something that's for you,
Mhm.
and the way you do it, like, it's not painful, it's not messy, it's not a production. You don't need strips, spatulas, warmers, you don't need anything. Like, I'll tell you, one time I
Yeah.
was going to Lake Tahoe, and I have two small children.
Aw.
So they're like 5 and 7. They're so cute.
Oh my god, that's goobers.
Yeah.
So
So
sweet.
we're like going, and obviously having small children, you're like hella busy, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't have time to go and get waxed or even to wax myself, or like I
Yeah.
didn't even have time to sugar at home. That's how busy it was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just going to take my jar with me. And then we get there, and I like take it out of the car. It's kind of cold. So I just pop it in the warm sand, leave it for like 5 minutes. The formula is so heat sensitive that like you can warm it up just holding it on your leg for like five
Wow.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just want it to be soft enough that you can scoop it out.
Mhm.
So I pop it in the sand, and then I take it out, and I'm like sugaring my legs on the beach because like I didn't have time to do it before. And people are like looking at me like, what is she doing? Like, I can't figure out what this thing that she's rolling on and taking off is. It was hilarious,
I
and I
love it.
loved it. Because like, once I was done, like, our formula is just mostly really sugar,
Yeah.
and you dispose of it in the compost. So,
You're
I could just,
fine.
like,
You just toss it. Yeah.
love it. I'm not throwing garbage out here, people. It's
Exactly.
a little lump of sugar
That's
with
like
some
the
tears.
epitome of, like, sustainable. Just toss it. You're fine. It's going
Yeah,
back to Mother
yeah.
Earth.
Yeah, and then just, like, go wash your hands in Lake Tahoe's water and just to get the stickiness off, and you're not leaving a trace behind, but, like, how easy is that? Like, can you do that with shaving at the beach? Can you go to the beach
No,
and be like,
you
"I'm gonna
you would
start shaving my
literally be
legs
crazy.
again?"
They'd be like, "There's a woman with a razor. We have to take her down. Like, this isn't okay."
It's crazy, but, like, with what I was doing, people were, like, confused because 'cause they're like, "Is she applying sunblock? Like, what is she doing?" Like, because 'cause you're applying it, you're pulling it on, and they're like,
Yeah.
anyway, so I loved doing that. I thought it was hilarious and also super convenient.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Now, is it good for also facial hair? Because
Yeah.
we did talk about Huda Beauty, who had spoken about shaving her face, and I know my mom. Every time I see her, I'm like, "You have a is it called like a 4 o'clock shadow?" I'm like, "You need to take care of the stash, mom."
Yeah.
I like always like shade her about it. I'm like, "What's going on over here, little lady?"
I know,
So
I
I'll
love
like
the
do
thing.
it for her. I like put it on her. Like, "Mom, we gotta get this situation
We
going."
gotta get this sorted.
Yeah,
It's
so
funny
how does
because
it
I
work
think the
for
older we get,
yeah.
like, the less we see the little, like, fuzzies. I do the same with my mom. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Mom, you haven't sugared." She's like, "Oh, can you just do it for me?" I'm like,
same.
"Sure," you know?
I think she can see it. She's just, like, of a particular age, and she's just like, "I don't care anymore."
Yeah, I
And I'm
hear that, I
like,
hear
"Mom,
that.
I care. We gotta handle this bitch."
Yeah, we gotta handle this itch. We're gonna do
Yeah,
some photos together. Selfie, can't
exactly,
have that. I don't wanna show your grandchildren that in 10
exactly.
years from now. Grandma had a goatee.
Oh,
But,
that's amazing.
yes, to answer your question,
Mhm.
that's actually how I experienced sugaring for the first time ever. So I
Okay.
mentioned I was in Australia and I was going to get groomed. So I
Mhm.
used to thread my whole face, like
Oh,
brows, upper
wow.
lip, and, like, all of here.
Okay.
So I went to for a threading appointment, and, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm super, super hairy on the face. Like,
Right.
there's some fuzz, and then because my hair is dark, it shows up, you see
Mhm.
it, right?
Yeah.
So I went for a threading appointment, and, I'd been doing threading for years, and I tell the lady, I'm like, "Okay, just so you know, Like, I have really sensitive skin. When you start threading my face, you're going to see me break out in hives. And she's like,
Oh,
that's
that's
like,
not good.
no. And this is what like, I would only go like threading on a day where I don't have to do anything for 24 hours because I would be like
Mm-mm,
swollen and covered in hives, like a beehive stung my entire face. Like,
not
so I told her this and she's like, have you tried sugaring? I'm like, girl, I've tried everything.
good.
She's like, well, sugaring is really good for sensitive skin. I'm like, what the hell is sugaring? What do you
Yeah.
mean? So anyway, so she's like, I'll do a little patch test. It's not like waxing because I've also tried waxing my face and it
Oh,
was
that
not
seems so
good.
like irritant.
Well, it also wax takes off a whole layer of live skin. That's why you get that stripe look if you
Oh
do, have
no.
you ever done your eyebrows and then like there's like a perfect line here and then it's a different color skin from here up where it wasn't wax? It's because it's actually taking off living skin cells. Um,
Yikes. Yeah, no more waxing.
no. So I was like, don't put wax on my face. And she's like, okay, no, like let's do a test patch. And she did it and I felt nothing. So when she sugared my face, like it wasn't just to remove the fuzz. She even went over my nose
Oh wow.
and removed blackheads. And like, she's like, yeah, because this area, this bridge of the nose gets hit by the sun a lot. So
Yeah.
it just builds up. There's a lot of dead skin buildup. So she sugared like literally my whole face, even my nose where there is no hair.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came out of the appointment, my husband and kids were like hanging out. And my husband's like, what'd you do? Why are you going for threading? And I'm like, no, 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 I did this other thing. He's like, did you get a facial? I'm like, no, because he's like used to see me come out of that appointment like
And
looking
it's yeah.
like I'm about
Yeah.
like I've been stung, but he couldn't understand. And this is what
Oh
he said to me.
wow.
He's like, I have never seen you glow like this. And it was
Oh.
just like no redness, no irritation, all the dead skin was gone. And it literally had like even now when I do it, it takes like 3 to 5 years off my face every time I do it, just because like all the
Wow.
dead skin comes off. And then like when you use products, like first of all, when you remove all the dead skin, all the
Mhm.
do a proper exfoliation,
Yeah.
you don't see like wrinkles and fine lines. They kind of disappear a little bit because they show more in the texture of dry skin.
Right.
And then when you use product, it actually gets absorbed into your skin because you don't have this
Mhm.
barrier. So anyway, he was like, I've never seen you glow like this. I'm like, I can't believe I'm not like red and itchy all over my face. So
Yeah.
that was kind of like the first time. And now it's crazy because like, fast forward 5 years later, I've written a course for estheticians
Love
on
it.
the sugaring facial. Cause like, a lot of people who a lot of women who have sensitive skin, but they can't do like dermal abrasion.
Mhm.
Sugaring is a great alternative because it's like deep exfoliation without the abrasiveness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've written this course. I mean, I still do my own sugaring facial all the time.
Love
And I have
it.
customers who are like, they're like, I'm scared to take the hair off my face because I don't want it to grow back thicker, which it doesn't with
Oh,
sugar.
I see what they're saying.
Just to set
Right.
the record straight. But they're like, I love the exfoliation so much that I'll like put it on and then peel it off so slowly so it doesn't take the hair, but it takes the dead skin.
Yeah. That's so funny.
So so yeah, it's like it's a whole thing. It's a whole
Yeah.
thing. But it's been fun.
I
I've
love
learned so
that.
much and
Yeah. Do you have
when you're
any Oh, yeah, I
no,
was
I
gonna
was
say
gonna say, when you get these comments and people are like, "Oh my God, like I'll never go back to waxing or I'll never go back to shaving," and you feel like you're making a difference, like
Mhm.
it's hard to do anything else.
Aw, 100% because I think that it's helping them with their confidence, It's not that you have to, remove your hair to be confident, but hey, if it's something that's gonna give you that a self-esteem boost, if it's going to give you that confidence, if it's you doing something to take care of yourself and to honor your body, then why not? That's definitely a confidence boost. Like, I know for me, like, even if I'm like, even if no one's going to see it, if I know I'm all like, groomed and primed and everything, I just feel better. There's a bounce in my step. There's a different, like your husband said, there's a different glow about you when you just feel good, when you're taking care of yourself. And I feel like, sugaring could be one of those experiences, just really making it about connecting to your body, removing something or just doing something for yourself, that the end result, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel healthier. You're going to feel smoother. You're going to feel that glow, regardless of the hair or not. It's the intention that, hey, I'm doing something for me and you're taking care of yourself. And I think one really big thing that came out of your story for me was, if you're getting a reaction to something, that is a sign to stop doing it. You're like, I would break out in hives, and I'm like, the hives are telling you something,
Yeah, don't do
There's
it.
something in your body. The hives are saying, infection, irritation, not okay, stop. So I loved that the woman that you went to was like, wait a minute, that's not right.
Yeah,
So that's another thing that I think came out of your story was, make sure the people that you go to is someone that has your best interest in mind, not just like pushing something or just doing whatever you say, but she cared about you enough, or just her craft enough to say, hey,
yeah,
listen, if you're going to get hives from this, let's maybe think about an alternative. And I think that's also not to get too far deep, but also in the healthcare industry, make sure that your doctors are actually having your best interest in mind. If you go and you say, hey, I'm sick, they're not just like, oh, take two and call me in the morning, but they're like, well, whoa, 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 you're sick. Let's talk about this. And they believe you and they figure out what's wrong and they take care of you. And being your own advocate, you are also your own advocate. Even though you were still going and you didn't care about the hives, you said, hey, listen, when this happens, this is the reaction I get. But probably if you hadn't said that, she probably just would have thread it. You heard the reaction, and she probably would have been like, "Ooh, okay, I don't touch that." You know what I
yeah,
mean? But
exactly.
since
And
you
that's
spoke up,
happened too.
yeah, but since you spoke up for yourself, that created the opportunity for her to say, "Hey, there's a better way."
Mhm. I never really thought about it that way, but I think that is actually a really big part of the story. Maybe not just my story, but
Mhm.
definitely part of my story is, I think whenever something kind of great has happened, it's always because I have spoken up. And
Mhm.
I didn't even realize it until you just said that, because a lot of us kind of go through the motions because we don't want to be, especially women, like
Yep.
we don't want to be the ones that rocks the boat. We don't want to like be disruptive to the process. We don't want to stall the line.
Yep.
And but when we do speak up for ourselves, like really great things happen. And then
Mhm.
sometimes it like catapults you into a whole new business and
Yeah.
journey. And sometimes it's just you're getting the care that you need in that moment. So yeah, thank you for
100%.
pointing that out.
Yeah, you have to be your own advocate. You have to speak up, and you have to, not be afraid of taking up time and taking up space, because we all deserve to take up space and take up time. But I agree, as women, we are conditioned and groomed to not you don't want to be that girl. She's too loud, she's too this, she's being a bee, she's being high maintenance, she's being da 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 da. It's like, no, maybe she's just being a human being, and she's just sharing her experience, her concerns, her questions.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just it. Maybe she's just existing.
Well, I saw this thing. This is reminding me of a meme I saw like a couple of
Love
weeks ago, and
memes.
I was so impressed by it. And it was like, yeah, is she too much? Yeah, too much awesome, too much beautiful, too much
Yeah.
bold, too much, all these good things.
Mhm.
Yeah, we are too much in a good way,
Good way.
I think,
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I have definitely learned through my career,
Mhm.
especially, like being in an executive role in the business world and then starting my own business. Like, you're kind of in the upper tiers of career, right? At my
Yeah.
age also. There that experience is eventually going to take you there. And one of the things that I have definitely learned is the advocating for yourself is really, really important, but
Yeah.
also like surrounding yourself with people who can celebrate you.
Mm,
Stop shrinking. Like, one thing I've learned is like, stop shrinking to make other people feel comfortable. If they're
100%.
uncomfortable, they can remove themselves.
Yep.
And I think that that's not something men do. They never
Oh
shrink.
no.
Like, when do you see a guy being like, "Oh, like, humble? Oh, I know it's not really a big deal. I've just, like, saved the
It was a
world."
team effort. Absolutely
Yeah.
not. Like, men take credit. Even if it was a team, they're like, "This is what I did." And
Yeah.
women are like, "I would like to thank everyone for all of their contributions." It's like a pejorative rather than just being like, "This is what I did." And then even in just like, there's only one seat at a table for one woman, and it's like women against women, and who's going to be that woman who's chosen. Where men, it's the complete opposite. They are very, very more tribalistic. That's why it's called the good old boys club. It's like, who do you golf with? Who do you go get a steak with? Who do you, all have around for dinner and drinks? Who are you going on vacation with? Those are the people that you're going to be working with, doing the contracts with, having the clients with, having the deals with, because they know that their network is their net worth. So they're more likely to collaborate and have more teams. It's the good old boys club. But
Yeah.
women have been pitted against each other. Like, well, if we're going to have a C-suite, or we're going to have, these executives, nine, and it's 10 seats, well, 9 are going to go to men, and we'll have that one for a woman. So
Right.
instead of looking at the other woman as our collaborator, she automatically becomes our competition. And I think the patriarchy does that because as long as we are fighting against each other, we're not climbing up against them.
Absolutely. I think definitely the culture of patriarchy is contributing to that.
Mhm.
And I think, like, we also have a part to play in it as well. Women, we
100%.
buy into it. Like, one of the things, like, and it starts early. Like, one of the things that, like, I think I look back on my friendships in my life and I kind of really appreciate is, even among my girlfriends, we weren't like drama. We weren't catty. If I was ever like in the midst of like catty girls, it would just not be my vibe, and I would
Right.
remove myself immediately because ain't nobody got time for that kind of drama.
Exactly. Exactly.
But like, when you think about like the boys club, men conduct themselves like that from the beginning, from friendships, from the get-go. When a girl and boy get into a relationship together, girl is like, "Oh, I can't hang out with you friends. I'm gonna go
Yep.
because my boyfriend might want to hang out with me." Meanwhile, boys are like,
100%.
yeah, and boys are like, "Yeah, I have my guys night. See ya."
Yeah, they're like, "I'll call you when I'm free." And women
Yeah.
are like, "I'll stay free waiting for your call."
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think, like, if we start thinking about like that camaraderie
Mhm.
amongst, our gender from the beginning, like from the time that like we're in school, like
Yep.
girls are like in competition for like the attention of boys or whatever,
100%.
attention of other people. And that kind of continues. So just nipping that in the bud and like instilling in our children that, y'all are equal. And if you want that boys club or that girls club, like in 10 years from now, you better start cultivating those relationships now.
100%. 100%. Oh, this has been such a great conversation.
Yes.
Oh, are there any other insights or tidbits that you want to leave us with?
Um, the only other thing I want to say is I really, really, I kind of said this at the beginning. I think that like we are in such an incredibly important time where we're evolving socially as a species.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to see some of these changes that we're coming and we're talking about coming down the pipe. We're going to see more of that like girls club and all of
Yeah.
that happening. And it's already starting to happen. And I think like talking about the problem doesn't mean that it's like persistent and it's never going to be resolved.
Mhm.
I have been so blessed since I started this business and meeting some incredible women who have like, just like totally saved me when I didn't even know I needed saving.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful time to be a woman in business.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of want to put this out there. Like if you're wanting to try something, just do it and expect that there's going to be a net of women to catch you. And if you can't find that net, like feel free to reach out to me. I love mentoring people. Like it's always been a part of my career path. And helping people wherever I can, especially women and girls step into these like not just leadership roles, but just like taking charge of your like passions and
Mm-hmm.
making your dreams come true. Like there's no like knight in shining armor
Right.
that's gonna give you everything that you need. Even if he wanted to, how could he know? Just do it yourself.
Exactly. 100%. And not to sound like too like frou-frou or woo-woo or anything, but lately I've been really looking into like tapping into like the divine feminine energy and really tapping into that because I'm a lot in my masculine energy a lot, you know? So I
Same.
really wanted to switch more into that divine feminine energy and just you talking about sugaring and like just taking that time to sit down and like rub your skin and just really taking that time to like connect to yourself in like a sensual way. And then also I think us talking about women really coming together in our divine feminine really is about that sisterhood. It's about that femininity. It's about that, just like you said, you didn't even know you needed saving and then these women came for you. That's being in that divine feminine, where you're open and ready to receive that support, particularly from other women. And then also tapping into it when it's your own power from within, your own stepping into your own power of who you are, not just for business like you said, but also just for like your life. How do you feel about yourself? That intrinsic self-love and worthiness and softness and femininity and just receiving mode. So that just, to me, this whole conversation has been a lot of confirmation for all of that stuff. And to me, you are such an example of such a powerful, beautiful, divine, feminine energy and what that really looks like in the world. So thank you so, so much. And so where can we all find you? Everything will be linked in the show notes and in the description box, but I want you to tell us as well.
Absolutely. So I personally am on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So if you want to professionally connect, I'm happy to connect with you there. Sugar Wax is on our website, which is sugarsugarwax.com. And I'll share with you a code for your audience just to
Yeah.
have a little discount and make it a little easier to try
Yeah.
something new. We have demo videos on YouTube. So, and there's a whole page on our website that's dedicated to how to sugar at home. And then at the bottom, body part by body part. So if you've never done,
Wow.
yeah, like we really want to make it as easy as possible. Um, yeah, and if you want to give us a follow on Instagram or TikTok, we're on those channels as well. But we're always here. We love hearing from customers, people who are interested, people who are curious, and just our community at large.
I love it. Thank you so much, Salome. This has been amazing. And you've definitely poured into my divine feminine cup. So for that, I thank you so much. And for everybody watching and listening, always be sure to like this video or subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to the podcast. Don't forget, if you need additional support on your self-love journey, we have a ton of courses down below. We also have a free self-love guide when you sign up for our newsletter. It's 100% free, so go ahead and get that. It's really helpful. And also don't forget about our self-love journal as well. You can pick one of these up. And yeah, and share this with a friend. Share this with anybody who might need a little bit of inspiration or motivation just on how to glow up from the inside out. So with that, everybody, thank you so much for joining me.
Love it.
Bye.
Welcome to Sugar Pills, a practical guide to self-care, where your host, writer, actor, and producer Candy Washington helps you live a more joyful life with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. Be sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and join the conversation on Instagram @Candy Washington. Let's go!